Hello YouTube, this is Callum from EnglishShooting and I've got another popular question I'd like to answer for you guys, and that is, what should I apply for on my first FAC application? So as you guys may know, for an FAC you need to have a slot for every single firearm you want to buy, and you need a justification and good reason for every single one of those firearms. So when you do your first time application, you want to tell them what you want and what action, what caliber, all that sort of stuff. And I've gone into detail previously on the filling the application format out on exactly what you need to put in those boxes and what terminology you need to use. But that's what you need to do. But a lot of people go, well, what do I apply for on a first time application? Do I just go for one gun? Do I go for 3? Can I go for 5? Can I push it and go for 10? Can I go for 20? And unfortunately, again, it's one of those how long is a piece of string answers. First of all, the specific guns that you want to apply for, that's completely down to you and the disciplines that you're doing. A target shooter is going to want completely different guns to what I'm going to want as a practical shooter. They're going to want bolt action 308s and bolt action single shot 22s. I'm not into that. I'm into the semi-automatics. So again, there's a difference. First of all, what disciplines are you going to be doing, and what guns do you need for those disciplines? First of all, that's what you need to answer. And I would say, if you've got justification, I think this is the best answer overall. If you've got justification for a firearm and you would like to own that firearm, put it on your application. Even if it brings your total number up to 10 or 15 guns, if you've got the relevant security, storage measurements put in place for that number of guns, and you've got enough experience and you can demonstrate to the FEO that you've got enough experience to own that many and shoot that many regularly, then you should have no problem. I know a fair few people that have 15 plus guns and they can justify every single one of them. Yes, for a first time application it might be a little bit harder because your experience might be a little bit lower than most people, but you can get some first time applications that the person's been shooting for 20 years and they've never had a license, and they're probably more experienced than most license holders. So you get swings and roundabouts. I think you have to be the judge of where you are sort of in your shooting path. If you're really inexperienced and you just passed your probational membership at a club and that's like the only 3 or 6 months you've ever been shooting and you're not so sure, then don't go for 10, don't go for 15 or 20 firearms. You're not really going to be able to justify that many for such a beginner shooter. I applied for a 308, 2 .22 rifles and a 2.2 long barrel pistol. So 4 firearms for my first application. Again, when I was first applying, I was a relative newbie, quite inexperienced, and I even think at that time I could have applied for more. In hindsight, I probably should have gone for a 357 underlever as well, maybe even a 303 for an Enfield, and definitely a 223, at least another 223. So I reckon for my first time application going back, I probably could have successfully applied for 6 or 7 guns, which I would have had adequate space for in my safe, and I could justify all of them. I may have not had the experience, but I was with my club and they would help me with that, and I could justify that to the FEO. So for me, yeah, around 6 or 7 for a first time application, which a lot of people think that's quite a lot of guns for a first time application. If you've got justification for them, then there's no problem. But obviously you have to be reasonable. Your interview as well is more of a negotiation. If you put down 10 or so guns because you want to avoid, you've got justification for all of them and you've got the necessary experience and you just want to avoid that variation in 6 months, a year's time, then tell that to the FEO. Say, like, look, this is a bit more than what I would want to go out and buy straight away, but I want to save on the variation. I've got the justification and I've got I've got the space, I've got the security arrangements for it, and I want them. I'm going to be shooting these disciplines, I need these guns. Now the FEO on your first time application might go, okay, I understand, but I would just feel better you cutting that down a little bit. And you can have a little negotiation and you'll get things cut back, and you can basically trade off with them. Okay, well, I won't go for a 223, but I would like the 357 underlever. And they go, okay, that's fine. It really is done on a case-by-case basis. They take into account your experience, your knowledge on the subject, how long you've been shooting, all that sort of stuff. So it's very hard for me to give you a set answer. What I would strongly advise is you do go for more than you currently want at that moment. So nothing that you don't have justification for, make sure you have justification, because either you're just wasting the FEO's time and your own time. But it may be something that you think, right, I've got justification for that, I could shoot that, but it's probably something in 2 years' time. Well, your license is 5 years long. So 2 years isn't actually that long in the scheme of things, so go for it at your first time application, because it's a lot harder to get it put on there afterwards through a variation. I've just had a friend and it's taken, I think, 9 or 10 months for a variation. And there's a lot of guns on his variation that he did have justification for and maybe should have applied for on his first time application, which would have saved him a lot of hassle and a lot of calling up his firearms department and chasing his certificate. So it is a lot easier for you to apply for more, and they're not going to throw out your application. If you're being a little bit cheeky and you've gone for 10 on your first time application and you're a really new shooter, they're not going to just throw out your application. Your FEO is just going to tell you straight, look, I think that's too many. I would be more comfortable around this number. And you talk to him, but that's just how things go. So I hope this gives you an idea, and maybe, you know, will stop you from making the mistake that I did, which was, in hindsight, applying for too little. But don't take the mick. Be reasonable, but apply for everything that you have justification for and that you want to shoot at a bare minimum. So there you go, guys. Hope this has helped you out and given you a little bit of a guide. Thank you very much for watching this video, and as always, I hope to see you soon.